Imagine waiting for a long time, booking tickets and everything, all for a fight to be finished in less than a minute. The combination of perfect timing and sheer physical force, plus the shock, awe, and surprise of getting slammed in the face, is almost an art form, one that would leave anybody intrigued. Join us as we go through some of the fastest finishes in UFC history. Ensure you stay glued to your screen to catch all of it. 1. The record for the fastest knockout in UFC history belongs to Jorge Masvidal after his viciously terrifying knockout of Ben Askren at UFC 239 on July 6, 2019 in Las Vegas, Nevada. As the bout started, both men walked forward. All of a sudden, Masvidal began to sprint at Askren. Ben's wrestling instincts took over, and he instinctively lowered his head to take down his charging opponent. Still, instead, Jorge launched himself through the air and blasted Askren with one of the most sickening flying knees in MMA history. Askren immediately crumpled to the canvas like he had been shot, and Masvidal managed to land 2 more follow-up punches to Ben's head before the referee stopped the contest.
Is brought to you by Modelo.
2. Up next, we have the bout between Ludwig versus Jonathan Goulet. The second fastest KO belongs to Ludwig, with his 6-second knockout of Jonathan Goulet at UFC Fight Night 3. This fast finish happened in 2006, but Ludwig had to wait another 5 years before the records became official. The timekeeper wasn't paying attention and didn't stop the clock for 5 seconds, prompting the Nevada State Athletic Commission, NASC, to record the official time at 11 seconds. Dana White later had to intervene to set the record straight. 3. Todd Duffee versus Tim Hague. Todd Duffee versus Tim Hague fight held at the UFC 102 in Portland, Oregon. Duffee was making his octagon debut against Hague, a former kindergarten teacher, who had turned pro in MMA after a student shortage eliminated his job. Hague had a record of 5 consecutive fights, 4 stoppage. The fight began with Duffee landing a left hand that sent Hague to the canvas. The American top team heavyweight followed it up with a barrage of punches. The final blow came as a devastating left hand. Duffee had successfully knocked out Hague in just 7 seconds. Our next fight also features another 7-second KO. 4. Chan Sung Jung's versus Mark Hominick. It all took place at the UFC 140 when Chan Sung Jung defeated Mark Hominick before the audience settled to watch the fight. The most action-packed segment of the bout was the entrance of the fighters. Then, the fight began with both Hominick and Jung touching gloves. Hominick attempted a left hook, but missed. Finally, Jung avoided Hominick's left and delivered a right hand that sent Hominick to the canvas. Jung added a few more shots before the referee rushed in to stop the fight. There is something about delivering a highlight reel KO in a debut fight. 5. Ryan Jimmo versus Anthony Perosh at just 7 seconds. Ryan Jimmo was making his UFC debut against the veteran Anthony Perosh. Jimmo produced a highlight reel KO that increased his win streak to 17. There isn't much to say about the fight because it ended immediately after it began. After the bell, Perosh made his way to Jimmo's right. However, Jimmo used his right hand to cut off Perosh's movement. Jimmo leaped in to finish the stoppage and landed a couple of strikes as Josh Rosenthal called off the fight. 6. Terrence McKinney versus Matt Frevola. Terrence McKinney memorably joined the UFC by breaking the records of the promotion. McKinney scored a 7-second knockout against Frevola at the UFC 263 event. Surprisingly, he had to take the fight on short notice, but by defeating Frevola, he increased his win streak to 4. McKinney rained a series of punches on Frevola in the opening seconds of their bout. And that was how the fight ended between the pair. After the match, McKinney celebrated by jumping into the cage. However, the excitement led to McKinney hurting his right knee. 7. James Irvin versus Houston Alexander. Alexander fought against Irvin at UFC Fight Night 13 in April 2008. He ended up being knocked out in 8 seconds by a punch from Irvin. The most funny part of this fight was when Alexander got up a few seconds later and started protesting the referee's stoppage. It took a while before he finally realized what had happened. 8. Makwan Amirkhani versus Andy Ogle. Amirkhani took home a quick win by putting Andy Ogle away in 8 seconds. After the referee had called the fight, Joe Rogan claimed that the stoppage was too early. However, Amirkhani pointed out that the referee made his choice. Immediately, the opening bell rang. Amirkhani ran across the cage and leaped with a flying knee which slammed into Ogle. A subsequent uppercut appeared to catch Ogle on the chin, sending him tumbling into the cage. Soon after Amirkhani began punching for the finish, the fight was over. 9. Leon Edwards versus Seth Baczynski. It was Leon Edwards' second fight in the UFC. The fight was easier than most anticipated when Edwards knocked out Baczynski in just 8 seconds. Baczynski tried to open with a kick, but the Birmingham native caught him with a flush overhand as he came in, dropping him to the canvas. Edwards followed up with a brutal ground strike that turned off his opponent's lights and a third shot for good measure before the referee could step in and bring an official end to the bout after just 8 seconds. 10. Gray Maynard versus Joe Virus. In this fight, Joe Virus was debuting into the UFC, while for Gray Maynard, it was his second fight. Gray Maynard welcomed Joe Virus by knocking him out under 10 seconds after the first bell. The fight was stopped at 4:51 into the first round. This, among other fights, earned him the nickname The Bully. Which of these finishes did you least expect to happen? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, you would want to check out our next 2 videos.